A faint smile quickly dropped.
Will you have to resign, Prime Minister? Is it a failure of leadership?
Questions the PM wants to avoid, but the Sue Gray report has put paid to that. Boris Johnson led to Parliament to navigate his way through conclusions difficult to read and even harder to explain. There was a failure of leadership at his number 10, and events held there should never have happened.
I now come to the statement, Prime Minister.
To the Commons then with a plea, to the public, Parliament and crucially his party.
Firstly, I want to say sorry. And I'm sorry for the things we simply didn't get right, and also sorry for the way that this matter has been handled. And it's no use saying that this or that was within the rules, and it's no use saying that people were working hard. This pandemic was hard for everyone. But, Mr. Speaker, it isn't enough to say sorry. This is a moment when we must look at ourselves in the mirror and we must learn.
An apology and a promise to improve his number 10 operation.
I, of course, accept Sue Gray's general findings in full. And above all, her recommendation that we must learn from these events and act now. I get it, and I will fix it. And I want to say... And I want to say to the people of this country, I know what the issue is. Yes, Mr. Speaker, yes. It's whether this government can be trusted to deliver. And I say, Mr. Speaker, yes, we can be trusted.
But if the PM wanted to brush over Gray's findings, the Labour leader pinned him down.
The Prime Minister repeatedly assured the House that the guidance was followed and the rules were followed. But we now know that 12 cases have reached the threshold for criminal investigation, which I remind the House means that there is evidence of serious and flagrant breaches of lockdown. There can be no doubt that the Prime Minister himself is now subject to criminal investigation.
A shake of the head, neither he nor his cabinet much like what they hear.
Our national story about COVID is one of a people that stood up when they were tested. But that will be forever tainted by the behaviour of this Conservative Prime Minister. By routinely breaking the rules he set, the Prime Minister took us all for fools. He held people sacrificing contempt. He showed himself unfit for office.
Shut up. Order!
The mood angry and ugly in this place.
The public know this is a man they can no longer trust. He has been investigated by the police. He misled the House.
Order. You're going to have to withdraw misled. Just withdraw those words.
The SNP Westminster leader kicked out of the Commons for claiming the PM lied to Parliament. Accusations that don't seem to concern him much. But what should be of great concern is the anger from his own side, starting with the former Prime Minister.
What the Gray report does show is that number 10 Downing Street was not observing the regulations they had imposed on members of the public. So either my right honourable friend had not read the rules, or didn't understand what they meant, and others around him, or they didn't think the rules applied to number 10. Which was it?
And upset from the 2019 intake that won this PM the last election, who until now have been reliably loyal.
It seems a lot of people attended events in May 2020. The one I recall attending was my grandmother's funeral. I drove for 3 hours from Staffordshire to Kent. Only 10 people at the funeral. Many people who loved her had to watch online. I didn't hug my siblings. I didn't hug my parents. I gave a eulogy. And then afterwards, I didn't even go to her house for a cup of tea. I drove back 3 hours from Kent to Staffordshire. Does the Prime Minister think I'm a fool?
Eyebrows raised across his benches. And for this former Cabinet Minister, confidence now lost.
When he kindly invited me to see him 10 days ago, I told him that I thought he should think very carefully about what was now in the best interests of our country and of the Conservative Party. And I have to tell him he no longer enjoys my support.
And the big unknown in that place is how many more of Boris Johnson's MPs privately agree with those vocal critics. This party is deeply divided, but one thing they can all agree on is that the Sue Gray report today doesn't settle things. It's simply too incomplete. The Prime Minister has said tonight he will publish the full findings once that Met investigation is concluded. So wait for Sue Gray becomes wait for the Met. Judgment Day delayed, and the Prime Minister's allies confident he can ride this out. But there's no doubt he is still in danger. Even those who served in Boris Johnson's cabinet not yet fully sold. Do you feel more reassured today, or is the jury still out on him and his conduct?
Look, I think the truth is that the jury's still out because we haven't come to the end of this process. Equality under the law means that whoever you are, whether you're the Prime Minister or whether you're Mrs Trellis, you should be treated equally. And therefore, an acceptance by those in government that the consequences should be adhered to has to be at the heart of this.
And this former Chief Whip still reserving his judgment.
I don't think he's out of the woods at all. And by the way, even though Sue Gray's update today didn't have a lot of facts in it, had some pretty scathing judgments about the lack of leadership at Number 10. I mean, it was not comfortable reading for anyone who cares about our democracy.
It could get worse. The police now investigating a dozen potential breaches of the lockdown rules the team in there set. The PM battling to keep his MPs on board. But what about the public? Beth Rigby, Sky News, Westminster.